Hello and welcome to Sectors Up Close. I'm David Pollard. Today we're talking about renewable energy developers and my guest is Peter Krull, Director of Sustainable Investments at Earth Equity Advisors. Clean energy stocks might be the future, but their recent past has been challenging. The S&P Global Clean Energy Index is down nearly 28% over the last year, and many firms are still struggling as high debt costs bite and as governments drag their heels on moves to combat climate change. All this, of course, despite massive funds flowing into renewables thanks to Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. Well, Peter Krull of Earth Equity Advisors is with me now. Welcome, Peter. We could also add to that list of headwinds, possible headwinds for the sector, energy prices, and of course the prospect of a Trump administration coming into power, possibly later this year, which might be hostile to the sector. What's your take on the sector as a whole?
Interestingly, when you look at the returns, we actually use QClean, the ETF, as our one of our investments in renewable energies. And during the first Trump administration, it rose over 425%. And ironically, during the Biden administration, it's down about 61%. So you can't really put a whole lot of energy behind, assuming that one administration is going to be better or one administration is going to be worse. This is a sector that is going to move forward, irrespective of who is in the White House. And so, when we look at where the sector is right now, one of the important things that we're looking at is interest rates. And we tend to believe that rates have peaked, which is probably the worst case scenario, if you will, for clean energy, because a lot of those companies need capital to support new solar fields or new wind farms. But we're going to start to see interest rates come down at the second half of this year, which might make this actually a pretty decent time to be looking at renewable energy developers based on where their prices are.
Nonetheless, for some companies, big debt piles and high interest rate payments have been a concern for analysts. I'm thinking particularly of Hannon Armstrong. How does it and how do others in the sector, how do they negotiate those problems of the large requirement for debt?
Absolutely. So in the meantime, a lot of these companies have got contracts for basically the power that they're producing. So they have steady cash flow. So they can basically project out to see what kind of cash flow they need, both for development and for meeting debt needs. Basically, what I will likely see that's happening with them is that as interest rates go down, if they had to finance during this high interest rate period, they're probably just simply going to refinance those. So we may see a little bit less in terms of growth or new renewable energy projects being implemented, but they're going to have an opportunity to refinance some of that debt in the near future.
You very kindly shared some notes with us on those companies that you like. At the top of that list was NextEra Partners. Tell us why.
They're an arm of NextEra Energy down in Florida Power and Light, et cetera. But they have got a tremendous amount of wind energy that they're producing. And they basically are probably, if not the largest, one of the largest wind producers here in the States. And so that's a big opportunity because once you put those windmills up, they do require a little bit of maintenance. But for the most part, they're generating whenever that wind is blowing.
Let's look ahead also to the future. I was very interested to see that Brookfield Renewable seems to be pinning many of its hopes on the growth in AI, data centers, crypto mining, that sort of thing, is offering a huge demand for renewable energy. Is that something you agree with?
There's a huge opportunity there. But secondarily, from the use of AI, there also is the opportunity where AI can help us to better optimize our renewable energy assets and our energy storage assets so that way they can make that as efficient as possible. So that way we don't have to reach back to fossil fuel-based generation to make up for those gaps in wind and in sun.
So there could be exciting times ahead. Well, Peter Krull of Earth Equity Advisors, many thanks for joining us today and sharing your thoughts. And that is your roundup of the new energy sector. I'm David Pollard, and this is Reuters.